know me, SDMT. Big news right here, man. Jon Jones and Isreal Adesanya, they got smoke, man. They got smoke, man. Jon Jones has been calling out and putting the pressure on Izzy Stylebender through social media, man. This is huge right here, man. Just because in an interview, Isreal was asked about, Anderson and about the Jon Jones fight, and he said that he killed one goat. Why not go after the next? He's being respectful in the sense, just calling him a goat, but Jon Jones took exception to that. He said you didn't kill Anderson, I don't know what you think, and that he would beat Izzy by the third round. He'd smash him down. So Isreal, after his fight, he didn't want to answer any questions about Jon Jones. Jon Jones the next day said pretty much, no, you're gonna respond to my message. And then, Israel's asked again about the Jon Jones in an interview with Isreal Adesanya, where he said that, he sees Jon Jones as one of those guys he dislikes, a bully that, keeps coming after him, that he wants that smoke with Jon Jones. He wants that fight when he's ready. He feels like he has to defend his interim belt. And he also says that, he wants to make sure his ground game is ready. He believes his striking, Yeah, he will have no problem with Jon Jones, but he knows that Jon Jones would take him down, and he's still developing as a kickboxer that's transitioning into an MMA fighter, that he's still developing his ground game. So he wants to make sure he's ready, because Jon Jones, he's a very smart fighter. He breaks down his opponents and he looks for those weaknesses. That's how he was able to head kick DC. He noticed that he had that that tendency, and Jon Jones capitalized on that. So I'm sure Jon Jones will put that pressure, use that reach, and get that takedown on Isreal this early in his career. And Jon Jones on top, man, throwing those vicious elbows, man. It's not many people that's made it out of that situation. So Isreal's being smart. He said he's player one, and Jon Jones is the end of the game boss. You know what I mean? He has to go through a lot of levels to get to Jon Jones, which I love. Stylebender, he has a great head on his shoulders. A lot of guys want to jump to point Z very fast. He wants to make sure he takes his proper steps to get to that level. You know what I mean? Jon Jones responded again, pretty much saying, keep my name out your mouth if you're gonna call me a bully. You know what I mean? I'm just responding to you saying my name. But you know what I mean? You gotta love Stylebender. He had receipts. He responded on his Twitter, an old interview of Jon Jones, and TMZ asked him who would he like to fight after the Anderson fight with Isreal. He mentioned Isreal, that he would be interested in fighting Isreal, and that he can make 205, and that'd be a good fight for him. So pretty much looks like Jon Jones he's trying to, look for that big fight. Right now at light heavyweight, he doesn't have a lot of big fights. He has his Thiago Santos fight. That's not a big fight. That's not something that's going to break the pay-per-view records. He's trying to get that big pay-per-view fight. If we look at Izzy, he's definitely now looking like a big draw. So he's trying to set that fight up. We don't know if he's going to be able to fight DC. We don't know what Jon Jones is going to do. He should be a guy that goes up to heavyweight, which is kind of funny. I do look at Jon Jones as a bully in this situation. Why are you trying to look down a weight class for competition instead of looking up? You know what I mean? There's been a lot of heavyweights that have mentioned Jon Jones' name, but he hasn't had that same, that same energy for those heavyweights. He's not going back and forth with them. You know what I mean? He's been talking about going to heavyweight for a long time now, but he's still not actually done it. So if you're a guy that you want to be the GOAT and you want to be seen as that, you look up a weight class. You look at Anderson Silva, he moved up to light heavyweight. He had some fights there. You look at, a lot of these great fighters, they went up weight classes. Not many guys go down. We saw TJ Dillashaw, him go down and get knocked out, which he probably deserved for doing EPO. But at the end of the day, Jon Jones needs to be looking up. I want to see him call out, some top heavyweights, fight Francis or somebody, fight somebody dangerous that, has a big chance of beating him, Jon Jones is very smart how he picks his opponents, that he knows he can beat these guys. Right now, he's fought Anthony Smith, he's fighting Santos. A lot of these guys, they're solid fighters, but they're just not on Jon Jones' level, honestly. It is MMA, anything could happen, but when you also know MMA, the higher probability is they're not beating Jon Jones. He's just too good, He's pretty much the GOAT when you really look at it. We haven't really seen him get knocked out or any of those things that we've seen happen to the other greats. We saw GSP get knocked out. We saw Anderson get knocked out. We've seen these things. We haven't seen these things with Jon Jones. He had a tough fight with Gus, but those fighters both made it through that war. Okay, so when we look at this, man, I believe in the future they're setting up for this big match of the Stylebender and Jon Bones Jones. That'd be a huge fight right there, man. Jon Jones, When will that happen? Probably in a few years, but it'd be a great fight. It'd be a big draw fight for him because Jon Jones is looking for that next big fight. You know what I mean? In that division, you know, there's just not a lot. You know, Johnny Walker, he's showing a lot of promise, a young fighter, but they need to slowly bring him along before they feed him to Jon Jones, because he would derail that train immediately. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. It's going to take a lot more fights for Walker to gain that confidence and just overall experience so he can step in a cage with a guy like Jon Jones. We saw Anthony Smith. He just was outclassed in every aspect of that fight where, you know, he was neutralized by Jon Jones. You know what I mean? Jon Jones was in his head, and that's what Jon Jones can do because he's just so great at, you know, being an MMA fighter. So we look at this man. Is Jon Jones being a bully? I think so. Jon Jones is definitely being a bully. He's picking his fights. He's not calling out the top heavyweights. He's not putting that pressure on them, but he's going after Izzy, especially also trolling Izzy because Izzy has a lot of, you know, media attention right now. He's the new hot thing in MMA. So Jon Jones is pretty much saying, "Oh, you guys remember me? I'm Jon Jones," even though I've been suspended multiple times for a lot of goofy things that I've done outside of the cage. But right now we got to, you know, keep showing love to Style Bender. Style Bender's been getting it done. He's been in tough fights. A lot of people thought that Kelvin was going to be the guy to expose him, but actually, you know what I mean, it was a great fight where both those fighters went into those last rounds, and, you know, Style Bender pulled out that fight. So we got to respect him for pulling out that tough fight, and we have to see what he has to do. You know what I mean? Will he fight Robert Whittaker? If Whittaker's healthy, that'd be a good fight for him. You know what I mean? If he wins that, maybe a few more, then let's look at Jon Jones. But until then, hey, man, let's have him defend that interim belt and get that real belt from Robert Whittaker, and we'll see what happens there. So let me know what you guys think, man. Don't forget to drop your thoughts below. Like, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at SDMT619. SDMT!